Hi everyone, I'm Priyanshi Vakharia and I'm here to introduce a new initiative called The Paper Route. The Paper Route is a digital publication. It's a newspaper that aims at connecting children across India via the internet, and we want you to make news. Here, tell us about what's happening in our country, tell us about what's happening specifically in your neighborhood, or anything that moves you really, because The Paper Route is not just about boring news. We'll be loading content every week, and predictable as that makes us, we would hate to be called predictable. So for example, if you have a story to share, you don't necessarily have to write it out like how it's done in newspapers. You can take a short video clip or send us a bunch of photographs or take a picture of a painting or a sculpture that you've made and send it to us. Anything that gets your message across. Now each contributor has a profile which has their name, their age, their school and the city that they live in, along with a really nice photograph of themselves and 5 fun facts about who they really are. Now the tricky thing about news is that it can get horribly biased, with some people bulldozing their opinions across those of others. And The Paper Route is definitely not one voice spewing out headlines. We're a multitude of voices. We're a sea of ideas. We're a bunch of kids who have things to say, and this is where we get to say them. So now if you read the papers, you'll see that each story must have a headline, and we'd like you to think of a really nice one for yours too. Again, we're not about refined and pruned news. Not at all. News is what you make of it, and if most of us don't make anything of it, then it's probably not newsworthy anyway. So yes, what you have to say counts. Tell us what you think of books and movies. Tell us about what your city's gardens, public spaces, beaches or schools are like. Write to us reviewing your dance or music or martial arts or even math classes. Tell us about interesting recycling programs that you know of. Tell us about problems with garbage disposal in your area. Tell us about the best kebab you've ever eaten, holidays you've been on, museums you've visited. Tell us what you think about India buying fighter jets or what's really going on in Kashmir. Tell us about your world, about your life, because we want to know. We've been growing up in a world without noticing its value. For example, did you notice that I was using a glass with a red lid and straw earlier and now it's yellow? Or that I had the mirror beside me and now it's the midday? It's not magic, it's just a little trick to show you how easy it is to get fooled when you're not paying attention. So we want you to pay attention. Keep a diary, put pen to paper, write things down. Then send us your ideas, your observations, your stories. Better still, if you want to take charge of a department and be an editor, write to us. Be our reporters. As publication named after a declining tradition, we don't want our words to decline the same way. There is great power in news, and we want to revive that time-honored tradition of bringing news to doorsteps. Maybe this time just a little bit differently. So earlier, when I told you guys everything that The Paper Route is not, it's because I want you to decide what The Paper Route is really all about. And if we can stretch those boundaries, stretch them without restriction, then The Paper Route refuses to limit itself to labels. So I'm Priyanshi Vakharia, I'm 17, and I'm the first editor-in-chief of The Paper Route. Join me in delivering